Someone is completely overwhelmed by thoughts of you. But at this moment, the two of you cannot truly be together. Your inner awareness already senses that this connection is real. Even when your mind tries to deny it or force it away, take a calm breath and listen closely, because what you are about to hear is not random at all. And it is not something you simply invented in your imagination. The person who suddenly entered your thoughts did not appear there without meaning. There is a deep and silent connection between the two of you, one that neither of you can completely explain or easily walk away from. It is not just a temporary thought passing through your mind. It is something profound, steady, and impossible to fully ignore. They feel pulled toward you in a way that is powerful, yet deeply restrained. A kind of emotion they have never fully allowed themselves to experience until now. Yet something continues to keep you apart. Something causes this bond to feel forbidden or restricted. And understanding why this is happening will completely change the way you look at every thought, every emotion, and every moment the two of you have shared together. Even with physical distance between you, someone out there is deeply consumed by thoughts of you. But this connection is not something life allows easily right now. This entire situation points toward two important truths that you must truly understand. Take another calm breath before moving further, because this message did not reach you by accident. The person who appeared in your mind just now is there for a reason. There is someone connected to your life, or someone who repeatedly enters your thoughts without warning, who shares an incredibly deep bond with you. It is not a short-lived feeling. It is not shallow, and it is not something that disappears quickly. It is deep. It is steady, peaceful, and constantly present somewhere beneath the surface. They are drawn toward you, but not in a loud or dramatic way. It is careful, restrained, and hidden inside them, something they have never truly permitted themselves to feel before. Yet this connection feels blocked, not because love is missing, but because something stands directly in the path ahead. That restricted feeling reveals two major truths. These truths explain why the bond feels so powerful, why there is distance between you, and why neither of you can fully move forward or completely let go of what exists between you. First, you must accept one simple truth. When a relationship feels restricted, it does not mean the connection is weak. In many cases, it actually means the opposite. Restricted connections are rarely shallow or meaningless. They do not begin during easy moments in life. They are not born from boredom or empty loneliness. They are not created from temporary attraction that fades with time. They come from a deep recognition within the heart and mind. This person did not intentionally decide to develop these emotions for you. It happened slowly in the beginning, and then suddenly all at once. At first you were simply someone they noticed. Then you became someone they admired. Then someone they trusted deeply. And then, without fully understanding how it happened, you became the person they could no longer stop thinking about. What makes this connection restricted is not the absence of emotion. It is the situation itself, the timing, responsibilities, fears, and moral boundaries standing in the way. This is where the first important truth begins to appear. This person experiences an inner battle every single day because of you. They are not fighting against you personally. They are struggling with the depth of their own feelings. They wake up already thinking about you, then immediately remind themselves why they should not continue those thoughts. They replay old conversations with you inside their mind, then criticize themselves for smiling afterward. They imagine what it would feel like to be close to you, then force those thoughts away because wanting you feels dangerous. Not dangerous for their emotions alone, but dangerous for the life they have already built and the values they have followed for many years. For some people, this means they are already committed to someone else. For others, it involves family expectations, cultural pressure, social responsibilities, or moral lines they were taught never to cross. Sometimes one of you is simply not emotionally or physically free in a way that makes everything incredibly complicated. Sometimes this connection challenges everything they believed they wanted from life. So instead of taking action, they hold themselves back. Instead of speaking honestly, they remain silent. Instead of moving closer, they continue watching from a distance. And here is something many people fail to understand. Silence does not always mean there are no emotions involved. More often, silence means the feelings are so strong that they become difficult to control. This person is not calm when it comes to you. Their emotions are extremely intense, but they hide them behind silence. They do not speak because speaking could open a door they fear they may never close again. They do not act because action would force them to face consequences they are not prepared to handle. They do not come closer because closeness would expose feelings they have hidden even from themselves. A famous thinker once explained that whatever you resist grows stronger inside you. That is exactly what is happening here. Every time they stop themselves from reaching out, the emotions become stronger. Every time they pull away, the connection tightens even more. Every time they suppress their real feelings, the bond sinks deeper beneath the surface instead of fading away. Feelings that are pushed down do not disappear. They become stronger over time. This explains the strange energy you sometimes feel. It explains why you sense them even when they are nowhere physically near you. It explains why thoughts of them suddenly appear at unexpected moments without any effort from you. It explains why your emotions shift without any clear outside reason. You may feel their presence around you even during quiet moments. You may notice an unfinished emotional energy flowing silently between you. That happens because hidden emotions never truly disappear. They wait quietly beneath the surface for their moment. Much of what connects you now is hidden, unspoken, and unresolved. Because it remains underneath everything, it creates tension, emotional intensity, and inner conflict. This person carries thoughts of you privately, while the outside world sees only a calm and controlled version of them. They may appear stable and balanced, but inside, there is a constant pull between desire and restraint, wanting something deeply and then immediately forcing themselves to step back. This is not because you mean little to them. It is because you matter so deeply that it creates fear inside them. They fear disrupting lives, betraying values, or beginning something they may not be able to stop once it starts. That internal conflict becomes exhausting over time. It explains why the connection sometimes feels heavy to carry. It explains why the intensity exists even without regular conversation. It explains why distance does not bring real peace. When two people truly connect on a deep level, something changes inside both of them forever. You have already been changed by this. Both of you, whether you fully understand it yet or not, have been deeply affected simply by knowing each other. Something inside you shifted the moment this connection began to grow. This is not fantasy. This is not confusion. This is not some meaningless coincidence. This is a connection that moves beyond ordinary logic and beyond simple explanations. And the deeper truth is this: connections like these rarely arrive to make life easy. They arrive to awaken something inside both people. They appear to challenge the version of yourself that existed before. This person may try to convince themselves that they can ignore what they feel for you, but deep inside they already know the truth. They know you have touched a part of them that very few people ever reach. That is why they cannot fully walk away. Even if they create distance, even if they remain silent, even if they avoid you outwardly, something inside them continues returning to you over and over again. They think about the small details, the way you spoke, the way you looked at them, the feeling they experienced around you that they cannot recreate anywhere else. And what makes this even more powerful is that they may never openly admit the depth of it. Some people carry life-changing emotions in complete silence. Some people love quietly because circumstances force them to. Some people spend years trying to behave logically while their heart continues moving in another direction entirely. This person constantly tries to regain control over themselves. They try to focus on responsibilities, routines, and practical decisions. Yet somehow your memory keeps returning. Your energy keeps appearing in their mind at unexpected moments. A song reminds them of you. A quiet evening reminds them of you. A random thought during the day suddenly brings your face into their awareness again. And every time this happens, they experience the same inner conflict. Part of them wants to move toward you. Another part warns them to stay away. That emotional tension creates the silence and distance you now feel. But distance does not erase deep emotional recognition. Real connections continue existing even when words are absent. That is why this bond still feels alive. That is why it continues pulling at your emotions. Somewhere deep inside, both of you recognize that this connection changed something important forever. Even if the outside world never fully understands it, the emotional truth still exists beneath everything. And perhaps the hardest part of all is knowing that timing and feelings do not always move together. Sometimes two people meet at the wrong moment while carrying the right emotions. Sometimes love appears during complicated seasons of life. Sometimes two souls recognize each other while circumstances stand firmly in the way. That is why this connection feels both beautiful and painful at the same time. Beautiful because it is real. Painful because reality has not yet made space for it to exist freely. Yet despite all the silence, restraint, and distance, this person continues carrying you inside their thoughts far more than you realize. Even when they appear calm, detached, or focused elsewhere, part of them remains emotionally connected to you. And deep down, your own intuition already knows this, and this is precisely why time by itself cannot erase it. It is not being sustained by routine habits. It continues to exist because of the real meaning it carries. In this kind of connection, control is never the main objective, and power is not what keeps it alive. That is why it often feels so difficult to fully understand. There are no games being played here. There is no desire to manipulate or force anything. There are simply two individuals affected by something they never imagined would enter their lives, and now they do not know how to fit it naturally into the structure of their normal, everyday world. As this awareness slowly deepens, one reality begins to stand out more clearly than before. You are not simply a temporary distraction. You are not a mistake that appeared by accident. You cannot be replaced, copied, or recreated by another person. You are part of a story that has already started guiding both of you toward a more truthful and deeper understanding of who you really are. And as this understanding continues to expand, the real purpose behind this restricted bond keeps revealing itself little by little, quietly, patiently, and gently over time. If you are still listening to this, then you are already one of the few people willing to face what most spend their entire lives trying to avoid. Most people move away from messages like this not because they feel nothing, but because something inside them reacts too strongly. This connection does not behave the way ordinary attraction behaves. It does not weaken because of distance. It does not disappear simply through logical thinking. It does not fade away only because it creates complications. Instead, it follows both of you silently, like a shadow that does not belong to one person alone, but is created through what happens whenever your lives cross paths. You may notice that even when you are busy and your attention is completely needed elsewhere, this person still enters your thoughts without any effort from you. It is not because you are intentionally searching for them. It is because something unfinished continues rising back to the surface. And the same exact thing is happening within them as well. They may go through entire days looking completely untouched by it. They may appear fully absorbed in their work, their responsibilities, their family, their routines, and everything they are expected to handle in daily life. Yet the mind always returns to what it cannot fully resolve. They remember the way you made them feel deeply understood without needing endless words. They remember how natural it felt to simply exist beside you without pretending to be someone else. They remember the strange sense that they had somehow known you far longer than logic could explain. They remember moments that carried far more meaning than they should have, and that is exactly why it unsettles them so deeply. Once a person experiences what it feels like to be truly seen on such a profound emotional level, that experience cannot simply be erased. This is where many people completely misunderstand restricted connections. They assume the distance exists because one person cares less. But often the exact opposite is true. Distance is not always created by weak emotions. Sometimes distance is created by emotions that are far too intense to comfortably hold. This person understands that if they move even slightly closer, they may never be able to return to the version of themselves they once were. They feel that something permanent exists on the other side of complete honesty, and they are not fully prepared to tear apart the life they built so carefully, even if that life no longer reflects the person they are slowly becoming. So, instead of openness, they choose control. Instead of emotional truth, they choose the structure they already know. Instead of stepping into uncertainty, they choose the discomfort that feels familiar. They choose the safety of what already exists, rather than trusting something they still cannot completely understand. But every decision like that carries a hidden cost. Whenever they suppress what they truly feel, it does not disappear. It simply changes form within them. It begins showing itself through restlessness, through distraction, through emotional distance that slowly spreads into other areas of their life. They may start questioning relationships that once felt secure and stable. They may begin sensing that something important is missing without being able to clearly explain what it is. They may wonder why the answers that once brought them peace no longer feel satisfying anymore. During those moments, they may never speak your name aloud, but deep inside, you become a quiet, emotional standard they compare everything else against. You represent a level of honesty they have not yet fully allowed themselves to live. That is why this connection always feels unfinished. It is not only about two people missing one another. It is about two lives standing at the edge of a major and unavoidable transformation. And you feel this too, even if you cannot completely explain it in words. After this person entered your life, something inside your expectations quietly changed. What you are willing to accept in relationships no longer feels the same. What you truly desire has become much more clear. Things you once tolerated without thinking now feel emotionally empty and deeply unsatisfying. You may notice yourself becoming less willing to remain close to people who are only emotionally halfway present. You may find that shallow connections no longer hold your attention the way they once did. You are now fully aware of what genuine connection actually feels like. That awareness did not appear from nowhere. It came through recognition. This connection is not only about longing for another person, it is also about waking something alive inside yourself. Some relationships are meant to build a shared future together. Other relationships arrive to awaken you to your own inner truth. This connection belongs strongly to the second kind, not because it can never become more, but because its deeper purpose is already unfolding inside both of you right now. You met this person at the exact moment something inside you was ready to shift, and they met you during the exact period when they had already started quietly questioning the life they were living, even if they never admitted that openly to anyone around them. That is why the attraction feels both powerful and confusing at the same time. You become mirrors for one another. You reflect the hidden parts they kept buried inside themselves, and they awaken the parts of you that were waiting for the right moment to finally emerge. This kind of connection does not follow ordinary timing. It does not rush itself. It does not loudly announce its arrival with obvious signs. Instead, it works slowly beneath the surface, quietly changing your deepest priorities, your values, your emotional understanding, and your sense of what truly matters in life. That is why even the silence between you feels filled with energy, because something continues moving underneath it all. You may ask yourself why letting go feels impossible, why thinking logically cannot completely end it, why convincing yourself that nothing can happen still does not bring real freedom. It is because this bond is not being sustained by fantasy alone. It is being sustained by a truth that has not yet been fully lived out. And once a truth has been deeply felt, it cannot simply be forgotten or pushed aside forever. You are not only holding on to a person, you are holding on to an experience of emotional clarity that permanently changed the way you see connection, and they are moving through the exact same process in their own inner world. This does not mean you should place your life on hold forever. It does not mean you should stop living in the present. It does not mean you should sacrifice your current reality for an uncertain possibility. What it truly means is that you should understand what this connection is trying to reveal to you. It is showing you how deeply your heart is actually capable of feeling. It is revealing the type of connection that gives energy instead of constantly draining it away. It is reminding you that real emotion often exists beyond what is merely easy, convenient, or risk-free. And whether they openly admit it or not, this same connection is teaching them exactly the same lessons. What happens next cannot be forced into existence. It cannot be created only through desire. It cannot be rushed forward through longing alone. It cannot be changed through silence, distance, or chasing after them. This type of bond only fully opens when honesty finally becomes stronger than fear. Until that moment arrives, it remains suspended in a space between worlds, not fully gone, yet not completely here either. It continues living quietly in thoughts, in emotions, in memories, and in those silent moments where truth speaks softly instead of loudly. And even when life appears calm on the outside, something beneath the surface continues moving. Something continues calling both of you toward a deeper understanding that neither of you can fully ignore forever. That is why this connection keeps returning, no matter how many times either of you tries to move past it mentally. It is not simply attachment. It is not ordinary fascination. It is not the temporary excitement that fades when circumstances become difficult. There is something much deeper happening underneath it. Both of you have touched a level of emotional recognition that changed the way you see yourselves. Once that happens, life can never return to exactly what it was before. Even if nothing is spoken aloud, the awareness remains present. Even if months pass in silence, the emotional imprint remains alive beneath everything else. This is why certain people enter your life and quietly alter your entire inner world without ever fully leaving it.